Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. So between the last episode and now, I've looked around and found a few more mods that I felt could add a nice touch to this playthrough. As you can see, we now have a different sun angle, and I think it helps enhance the look of the game quite a lot. You get much more exaggerated shadows, and a lot of the textures really seem to pop as the lower sun angle really brings some of those details to life. Now, while I think this makes the game look a lot better, let me know what you guys think about it, if you want me to keep it this way or not, because it could be harder to view. I'm not sure, because I think this looks nice, but let me know what you guys think, if we should keep this or if we should go back to what we had before. But anyway, on to what we want to do in this episode. Last episode, I mentioned that we're going to start overhauling our passenger network, and we're definitely going to get there in this video. But first, there's just a few things over at this construction materials plant that I want to clean up that we didn't really get to when we finished this up last episode. So the first thing I want to mention is the train depot. We connected that up off screen between episodes, so we just have that line coming and connecting to each one of these lines, so if we ever add another train or needed to return to the depot, it does have access to that. And then the next thing is just cleaning up some of these edges from when we were flattening this whole area. We didn't really make it look good, as we just sort of flattened out the area that we need, so we'll just come through and smooth out these edges so we get nice smooth hills. Alright, so here's what we're gonna leave off with. This area is looking pretty complete, and hopefully we'll continue to run at full production here like we are right now. So anyway, like I said before, we're going to be overhauling our passenger transportation network, and that's going to start out probably with our trains. We will get to expanding our bus networks, as both of these cities have expanded substantially since the last time we've done this, and we might even look at some other cities along these lines as well, since those have also ended up growing. So the first thing I want to do with upgrading our train lines is first updating these bridges, as these are old stone bridges that have a top speed of, I believe, 56 miles an hour, which is significantly slower than some of the other trains that we have running through here. And although it doesn't really cause any issues right now, because the train stops right in Winston Salem as soon as it crosses the bridge, I think we're going to eventually have a line that bypasses Winston Salem and goes straight to Albuquerque, so that we can get a much higher speed train running on this line. So let's simply drag a track over like so, and we'll make sure we get the sort of bridge height that we want. But first we'll switch this to a bridge that we like, and I think we'll go with this bridge here. So we'll just select that, and then we'll do the same thing right next to it. And now we have this newer bridge that shouldn't really give us any issues in the future. Now we do have this stone bridge over here, but I think we might keep this one since it's so close to the end of the line. It really wouldn't do much if we upgraded it or if we left it alone anyway, so we'll leave that for now. If we do want to start getting picky and scraping by with some of our train speeds, we can do that, but I think for now this is fine. So while we're over here, I think this is where I want to start doing a lot of the smaller passenger overhaul stuff, and I think that's going to start with just a short, quick little train between Winston-Salem and Albuquerque. This is part of a larger line that connects all the way up to Jackson, but the trip to Jackson from Winston-Salem is so long that we'd probably be able to get 2 or 3 trips back and forth between these two cities if we just had a line running between those two. So that would end up saving us a bunch of money and allow us to transport a lot more passengers between these two cities if we had that line and then the larger overall line running through here. So what that's going to mean is we're going to need a crossover here so that trains coming back from Winston-Salem can cross over to the proper track. So we'll just do this right about here, and hopefully we can get this to work just fine on a curve, which looks like we're able to do that just fine. And then we'll want to do the same thing over here. So we'll come through with some tracks and add a crossover just like so. And then I think we're ready to get this quick little train going. So for a train like this, we're going to need something that can get up to top speed very quickly, as there won't be much time to really accelerate with such a short line. So we'll need something that can accelerate quickly, and it probably wouldn't be carrying too many cars since the load would be a lot lighter anyway. Alright, and this I think is the train that we're going to go with. We got one of these Lehigh Valley 462 Pacific trains with 3 passenger cars behind it. So we end up with a capacity of 57, and it's able to reach its top speed in about 60 seconds, which I think is probably one of the fastest that we're going to get. So then we'll just have this run from Winston-Salem over here to Albuquerque. Alright, so this is our train here. I believe it's waiting for our other train to get out of the way. Yes, it is. And hopefully we'll be able to see how quickly we'll be able to get to its top speed once it leaves here. So it looks like this train's able to pretty much just get right up and go, as it's almost already at its top speed, and it really only hopped in about halfway on this line. So that's good to see. One thing we will do is we'll come in here and manage the line, and at both of these we'll have alternate platforms at each end, since we might have our other train occupying those platforms. But now hopefully we'll be able to manage transporting a good amount of people just between these two cities. So then another connection we'll make here is probably looking at this. It seems like most people from Winston-Salem want to go to Jackson, so we'll have another line that goes from Winston-Salem to Jackson, and then to finish off all of this line, we will add another set of tracks that basically just bypasses all of this, and it'll be a direct line from Jackson all the way over to Albuquerque. So that'll put significantly more trains on this line, but hopefully that'll allow much faster sort of point-to-point travel for all of the people around here. So actually, after thinking about it for a little bit, we can keep our train that goes from Jackson to Winston-Salem to Albuquerque and then back to Winston-Salem, since that covers all of those point-to-point connections. And then really all we need is just to add one more line from Albuquerque to Jackson that bypasses Winston-Salem. So even though we did just add this line, I think we will get rid of it since it's directly competing with this train. So then in the end, all we'll have to do is just add another train to take care of the Jackson demand here in Winston-Salem. And then we'll set up a line that goes from Albuquerque all the way over to Jackson. So unfortunately we will be selling this train, and then we will pretty much just get rid of this line. So we'll delete that. And then all we have to do is just get Winston-Salem station set up so that a train can just run right by it instead of dealing with some of the trains through here. So the way I think we're going to go about that is by just adding 2 sets of tracks here at the station, but the train won't be stopping here. It'll still use these tracks, but it won't stop in Winston-Salem. And then what we'll do is, so we'll pretty much just bring this track around until about here, so we can keep it at as high of a top speed as possible. So we'll come through and build this, now it's at its top speed. Do the same thing over here. And then as for this end, we will drag these tracks until they pretty much meet up with these. And these I don't think we'll be able to get up to a top speed just because of the way the track curves. But we'll put that down like so. We'll do this one here like this. And then we can start to merge these lines. So here we go. We now have, at least on this side, a connection, and the trains won't have to slow down too much to connect up. I believe we get to a top speed of like 92 or something. So for now it won't be too much of an issue, but maybe in the future we can get a smoother connection between these lines. And then as for this side, I think we are going to have to cross this bridge before we merge our tracks. So we'll bring these all the way across. So this will look like so. And then we pretty much just have to find a good spot for these tracks to meet up. Alright, so it looks like this might be about the best we can get. It stinks we can't make these longer so we can keep a much higher top speed, but this is really about as good as I can get it. We end up with a top speed of 76 at our lowest. If we try other places, we still get the same numbers, 76. And that's lower just because it meets there. So it looks like we're stuck with this minimum speed of 76 miles an hour there. But we'll just meet this up and then connect this. Not sure why it did this weird little bump here. But now we have our tracks connected. So let's come through and add some signals. So we'll want ones right at the start and then pretty much right at the end here. So we're not holding up any trains. And then we'll just do the same thing. We'll pretty much have signals everywhere where the other track has them. And then over here we'll have some signals like so. And then right here. And I think that's pretty much set. So now we can just add a direct line between Albuquerque and Jackson, and we should be good to go then. So then I think for this line we'll go with this Pioneer Zephyr train. It's the fastest one we have right now. It does take a little bit to get up to top speed, but I don't think that'll be an issue. So we'll grab 2 of those, and those will run directly from Albuquerque and then all the way over to our Jackson station. And then while we're here, we'll set some alternate platforms so that it doesn't get held up by anything. And then I think we might come through and add a few more signals just so our trains don't end up holding each other up for too long, especially our fast trains. We don't want them stopping at a signal just because we have a slightly slower train that's like halfway up the track. So here comes our new train. That looks like it will be going straight to Jackson, and we'll leave it at 2 trains for now. We'll take a look at the line later on once 1 or 2 trips go by just to see what the demand is like, but hopefully this should work just fine and it'll be able to keep its top speed pretty much throughout the whole trip. So after watching this train for a little bit, I think it might be able to reach its top speed between Jackson and Albuquerque, but the other way around, it's definitely not going to be able to reach its top speed. We can speed this up here and just watch as it gets closer and closer, and it will have to slow down when it switches tracks over here. So we might actually have to replace these trains with something that can reach its top speed, just so we're not wasting the train, since at no point it's able to go that fast. So yeah, it looks like this train won't be reaching its top speed in either direction. So let's come in here and see if we can come up with something else. So I think we'll try this train. We have the EMD E8 as the engine, and then a couple of passenger cars behind it. This is slightly lower capacity, I believe, than the other train we have running. So hopefully we'll be able to keep up with that, but maybe now, if we follow it, we'll be able to see it reach its top speed. Alright, so we've been watching this train go by back and forth for a little bit, and it is able to reach its top speed. However, it quite often has to slow down for various reasons, such as some of these turns, as you can see right there, it just had to drop down a bit. And then of course here, but of course there's nothing we can do here. However, we can do some stuff at some of these other turns. Now this turn here still has a pretty high top speed of 107, 108, so I'm okay with leaving that one. It seems like the main killer for the top speed is this curve here. If we take a look here and drag a track just to see the speed limit, it dips down all the way down to 93 miles an hour, which pretty much just kills the run that the train had coming through here or coming down this hill. So I think what we want to do is just make this curve just slightly longer. So we'll delete all of this track, bring it through here, and I think we'll drag it back to there. And let's see what kind of curve we can get now. So it looks like it would end over here at about 106, which still isn't great, so we'll pull this back one more segment and put that about there. And it looks like we can get up to 139, which is perfect for right now and won't limit any of our trains that we currently have running. So we'll have that. We'll place back in our signal that was around the turn. We'll get that placed right there. And then we'll smooth out and fix some of this terrain, and hopefully then we'll be able to see our train reach its top speed more consistently. Alright, and then as we can see here with this train, it should be coming through this corner and it won't even have to slow down at all. If we speed this up a little bit, we can see it just keeps accelerating, and hopefully down this stretch here it'll be able to reach its top speed of, I believe, 112 miles an hour. So just following that through, it looks like we're able to get to 108, but I'm not sure if it was being held up by anything. And either way, the return trip, it should be able to reach its top speed as well. So I'm pretty happy with this, and I think this line is looking pretty good. So now just tweaking these lines, if we look here in Jackson, it looks like we only have about 160, or not 100, just 63 people waiting here to go into Albuquerque. And if we look at this train, this one's only carrying 62 passengers. So that tells me that we could probably afford to get rid of one of these trains. So let's just grab one of these and sell it. And I think one is just fine for the demand that we currently have. And now I think just to help out with demand, we might add one train that runs from Jackson, or from Winston-Salem to Jackson, since we're really not able to get this number down, and the trains we're running have such a large capacity, but it's not really being utilized when it goes to Albuquerque or even coming from Jackson. So I think just getting one or two more trains that just solely focuses on getting people out of Winston-Salem and over to Jackson would be beneficial for making money and the overall city. So actually what I think we're going to do is, instead of making another line that's going to compete with our existing trains, I think we will just make the capacity slightly larger and have a slightly quicker train on this line. So we'll do that. And let's see if we can paint the cars to match. I think we had one of these green colors. So let's see if we can find our train. And that looks like that's it. So this should be able to go faster than the previous train that we had. The last one had a top speed of 78, and this one has a top speed of, I believe, 90. So it should be able to get there much quicker and carry slightly more people. If demand still persists, we could go for another train, although I want to try to keep the amount of train traffic to a minimum and be able to handle this in as few cars as possible. But for now, I think that's all we're going to do for that line. So now finally what we're going to do to also help enhance this line is redo the bus networks in each of those cities. And that'll also include Jackson and Scottsdale at the end of this. But let's start here at the end in Albuquerque. So first things first, let's situate the roads so we have better connections, as this part of the city is pretty much entirely disconnected from all the other connections over here. So let's see if we're able to make some better road connections throughout here. We'll grab a medium street, and it looks like we're not able to build up that way. Looks like we can build a road here, however. That'll be a pretty steep road, but it'll help out in the end for overall connectivity. And it looks like we could build a diagonal road here, which, all things considered, might not be terrible. We could do the same here, but that starts to get much steeper and a lot less realistic. So I think we might do that. We'll come from here. We'll curve this road so that it looks believable. And then we'll just place that. So that's not too terrible, but there's not much else we can do. So that'll help connect these roads up a little bit more. And maybe, just maybe, we could connect up here. And again, that's looking a little unrealistic, so we might not be able to do anything there. Yeah, so what we might do is just simply delete this road. And we'll do something similar to what we did in Downey. And we'll sort of make areas where the city can sort of terrace its way up. And then we'll have this cliff face back here that'll sort of act as the back edge of the city. Alright, so now we have this huge flattened out area where hopefully the city can make more and better connections through here, and they won't climb up this cliff face now, as that'll act as sort of an edge. I'm okay with the city expanding over here since the terrain's not quite as extreme, and that's getting quite a bit away from the city center, so that would probably make a little bit of sense. But allowing the city to expand in a more grid-like fashion up here will help us connect our bus routes a lot easier. And then I think the last thing we'll do is just try to add a road in over here, something like that, so that we can just have that little connection between these two long roads over this way. So now that we've done all that, let's just quickly fill in the rest of some of this grid so that we're able to pretty easily get our bus network running through here. So I think that works out fine, and we might just have a road come over like so. But now we're ready to build and maybe replace some of our bus stations if we need to. So looking at our existing bus stops, it looks like they're pretty okay. I think the only one I'd probably add is maybe one around up here. So we'll put one there on that road. And then I think we'll put one here and get rid of this one. So we'll just pause, get rid of that stop, and then this one covers most of the center. Same over here. This one covers this little portion. So I don't think we need much coverage in the middle. And I think we'll just get one more all the way out here. And then what we'll do is we'll go back the other way so we can have two different loops running through this city. And that'll just help get a lot more people moving around. So there we go. Now all we should have to do is come in here, manage the line. We'll clear out all of this just so we can start over. We'll go from here and just follow this loop that we've made. So this looked like it worked just fine. And now we'll leave those buses. We'll find our road depot, which I'm not sure where we have that over here. I think we'll have to go from this one all the way out here by Stockton. But we'll come in, grab some more buses, and we'll go with some of these twin coach buses. We'll get, let's go with 8. That won't hurt. And then we'll come in and we'll do another loop in the opposite direction. Alright, so then the last thing we need to do is just replace these buses. So we'll grab those and replace them as well with the twin coach buses. And hopefully we'll start to see Albuquerque grow much faster and have a lot more passengers here at the train station. So then our next stop is the city of Winston Salem. This bus network seems to still work pretty good for what we have. The only thing we're going to do is complete this road here and pretty much just finish this loop. So we'll come in here with our roads. We'll probably delete this so we can get a nicer looking loop around the lake here. We'll have this road come around and then connect up pretty much like that. Here we'll have this road connect there. And then I think that's really it in terms of road connections. Let's just quickly smooth out some of this area since the terrain is pretty rough here for some reason. But that gets rid of that little hill that was there before. And now I think we're just gonna add another bus stop, probably somewhere over here or maybe up here. Even though there's not really many houses over here just yet, we will want to get that coverage once they do start filling in. So let's just get that added right about there. And then we'll come through and add a new bus stop in both directions all the way around the city. So now that we have that, let's select our bus here and get the line set up. And then we'll want another station to that loop just like so. And it looks like everything is pathed out correctly. So then we'll leave that and find a road depot where we'll grab more of these and set those up in a loop going the opposite direction. Alright, so then lastly is replacing these buses with probably these yet again. And we'll just sell 2 of these so that it matches the amount of buses going in the opposite direction. And hopefully we'll see these buses spread out, and I guess we'll see even more people waiting here at this train station soon enough. So real quick while we're here, I'm also going to go through and upgrade all these roads, as we're in the year 1955, and I'm pretty sure most, if not all, of these roads would probably be upgraded to be this nicer paving anyway. Alright, so now Winston-Salem has this nice modern look to it with all these upgraded roads, and I think we're ready to move on to the city of Jackson. Alright, then finally moving on to our city of Jackson and Scottsdale. Overhauling this bus network is going to be quite a challenge, but very rewarding once it's finished. And I think the first thing we're going to do is come through and make sure all of the road connections throughout this city make sense, and we don't have any weird, unnecessary roads or intersections anywhere throughout here. So the first one I immediately see is this road here, and we'll pause so that the city can't just immediately come through and replace this. But we'll come through and have that connect about there, and then we'll have this one come all the way across and connect over there, which I think is fine. And then over here we'll do something like this, and then we can maybe afford to cross this road. Well, first let's maybe delete this road and this road. We'll have this one come through like so, and I guess we can have this connect around here, where then it'll come down to this road, and then this will come over like this. And I'm not too sure what's going to happen here. I guess we can let the city decide what it wants to do with this area. Next we have this little road. That could probably just get turned into a straight connection like so. Then there's this whole mess, which we don't need this road. And we might even lock all of this so that the city doesn't try to do it by itself. So we'll lock those, and then I think everything over here looks pretty good. I will say the one thing I don't like is having this 5-way intersection right here. You can already see it sort of has some traffic starting to back up, and I'm not really too sure how to fix that. Maybe we could delete this road and just have a road going this way, but then this gets a little weird. I'm just not too sure how to handle that. So I think this is another spot where we'll lock all these roads so that the city doesn't just do it automatically. And then we'll fix this area. And then I think we'll just smooth out this road connecting Jackson and Scottsdale, so it'll look a little bit more something like this. And then we can just extend this road, if we can get to come out correctly. We'll have it sort of come out like this. We'll do the same thing on this end. And then we'll have these connect like this. Alright, so then as for Scottsdale, looking at these roads, these are going to be a little bit trickier since the coastline does dictate a lot of these roads more than it does in Jackson. So we'll just pretty much be looking out for tiny intersections and things like that. This whole area could fix itself up. I think if we do something maybe a little bit more like this and then that, that's not too terrible. And then over here, if we get this road placed like so, I think that'll be fine. Although the city might try to make something more like this eventually. We'll see if it does that. But over here, we'll delete this road, connect that about there. This road is pretty unnecessary because we can just continue this one. Same with all of this. We'll just delete that. and bring it straight over once we delete this road. Straight over like so, and then extend this to meet the intersection. Connect this one over here, and that should all be sorted out. This whole area could look nicer. I like the idea it had, but it could be done a lot better if we just did something more like this. There we go. And then extended this to finish the grid. And then pretty much everywhere else I think is looking okay. We have this weird thing which we'll probably just fix by doing this. This area becomes a bit of a mess, but I'm really not sure of any better way to do it besides maybe deleting that road. And then we'll just lock all of these. And then for the most part, I think Scottsdale's looking pretty good in terms of its road connections. Just spotted this one, so we'll just turn this into that and extend this road down like so. And now I think we're pretty much ready to just upgrade all these roads to newer roads, and then we'll redo the bus network. Alright, so now finally we have all of the roads upgraded in each of these cities. As you can see here, we'll just go over, and there's no more of those old brick roads. Everything is paved over nice and neat now. And I think this is looking pretty good in a lot of these areas. This I don't like so much, so I think we'll come back to that later and fix these roads, but I'm pretty happy with how this whole city is starting to look out. Alright, so now in terms of our bus networks now, let's come through, and I think we'll just delete them all, and we'll pretty much just be starting from scratch. So we'll start here over in Jackson, and it's still going to come from this bus station, so we'll probably have one come up here, then back down, and that'll pretty much follow this road all the way until they get back down to here-ish. And then we want to keep it off of this main road. So I think we'll come up here, and that should get us back to the bus station. So we'll come through and place these on the other sides of the road. And I think we're pretty much ready then to update our routes. If we just click this bus station and look at our Jackson bus line, we'll delete all of these so we can start over. So it looks like it's going to end up starting from here, and we'll just follow around, come into the station, and continue looping around. So everything looks to be coming out pretty good over here. We will leave that, manage the vehicles, we'll replace these, and we'll continue on with these twin coach buses, and I think we'll just double the amount here, all the way up to 12. We'll find our road depot, we'll get 12 more of these buses, and then we'll set those up running in the opposite direction. Alright, so now this looks to be running exactly how we want it to, so we'll leave that, let it run, and hopefully now we'll get a lot more passengers moving around the city of Jackson. So then similarly over here in Scottsdale, we're going to delete most of our bus stops. I want to keep the one here by the ferry. So we're left with our bus station and the ferry stop. We'll come through, The bus station should cover most of this center area. We'll have it come over to here, follow the road, and I think pretty much where it was before was fine. We'll have it come to here, then we'll have it come up a street, or maybe we'll have it come up this way so it can get most of this side of the center city, then come down this street, back around up here, and then it should just connect right back up to our bus station. Alright, so I think that covers everything. Let's find one of these buses, manage the line, delete all of this, and then come back through and add in our loop. Alright, so everything here looks good. Let's come in, manage these vehicles. We'll stay with 12, upgrade them. We can start to let this run now so they spread out. We'll come over here, get 12 more of these, and then we'll just have these run in the opposite direction. So then while we're in this city, let's also upgrade these buses. Although there's not really too much to upgrade with them. It seems like we might actually just be okay, since there's not really much higher capacity buses besides these. So we'll actually leave those buses until maybe the next bus comes out. But for now, I think this is looking pretty good. And the last thing we're going to do is simply upgrade this road. That is our connection to the highway. And we're just going to bring this all the way into Scottsdale to where it meets our other main road. So right about there. And I think that's all that we're pretty much going to do in this episode. So with that, that's all we're going to do in this video. Again, let me know what you think about these lighting mods that I've added, if you like them, if you don't like them, and we'll change that accordingly. But if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.